to our post-week market review. So again, we decided to do this the same as last week. We thought let's let the market play out on the Friday and come back at you with a nice post-week market review where we'll go ahead and discuss everything that's happened this week. So starting off with this week, market opened at around this area here. We saw a bullish push. Price then started to consolidate between our lower levels. We then saw price continue up at a significant pace, with price then creating a new high of around 3,360. As you can see, price continued. We ended up testing between these points of interest that we have indicated and marked in with our red horizontal lines. Price consolidated here on the lower time frames until we found that last level of support at around this area here. Price then pushed up very nicely and eventually creating and finding resistance at this level. We then started to see some sort of consolidation between this little level sort of here, between these two levels. So let's just mark this in so you can see what I'm talking about. These two levels. So we had some sort of consolidation there. So we pushed up, we found resistance at the top side, and then we found some sort of support, with price then continuing on, testing this next point of interest at around 3,340. Again, once price touched this high, price then continued bearish, also flipped bearish on the higher time frames, and we ended up coming back to the same sort of level as was tested here as a support. We then saw some sort of like consolidation here, as you can see, and price started to move sideways again on the lower time frames, and this was sort of the so we had the bearish move start London session off. As we crept closer to that New York session open, we then became slightly bearish and then began to consolidate throughout the rest of the New York session and the Asian session. Price then continued bullish after this, after testing at this level as a support for one more time. We then came up to this level and price started to struggle to break this point of interest that we have marked here. Price then gave us a break of structure of this previous high that was created, that was tested as a resistance, as you can see here from this candlestick. We did in fact get a break of structure. Price then continued up. Let's just grab an arrow so I can mark this in properly. So price pushed up, we had our break of structure of this level here, and then price came back down to test this level, giving us a break and retest pattern, indicating to us that price was going to continue bullish. And it in fact did that. So obviously you see the significant bearish candlestick. However, it was wiped out the next hour after New York session was in place. We saw this hour push price and completely cancel out all the volume and anything that happened inside of this bearish candlestick that started at 2 o'clock. So pretty much half an hour before that New York session opened, which was quite interesting to see. And then as you can see throughout the rest of New York session, coming close into Asian session before obviously the market closed at Friday 10 p.m. GMT, we started to see a drop in volume, a drop in volatility, and price began to consolidate from left to right, and testing this sort of rough median area. Let's mark that in a little bit nicer. This sort of rough median area here at a resistance. So with all that being said, what could we expect for the next week? So let's just have a little look. Let me go ahead and delete most of these drawings so it's not confusing for you. Cool. So what could we expect here? So let's just delete this and go ahead and look closer. So there's two possible scenarios here. Obviously we have this point of interest that was tested as a support on previous resistance again. So obviously let's just mark this in real quick. You can see that here we tested the level as resistance, and here we tested it as a support. So with that being said, there is one scenario that we could see. Obviously you can see that price has in fact started testing this level quite significantly as a resistance. Price has the bulls have tried to push price back up, pushing it to this next point of interest, but they did not succeed. Obviously volume is dropping as people are exiting the market due to the market being closer and closer to closing. So one scenario that we could potentially see is if we see this bearish momentum continue and this level here tested as a resistance, what we could potentially see is price continue bearish, coming back down to sort of this level of around 3,340. If we see that, are we what are the chances that price is going to continue even more bearish and break through this level and then continue on, perhaps even coming down to test this level? I would say personally, I'd say it's unlikely. The most likely scenario that we could see in this area is if price comes down to test this level, we most likely will test it as a support, as it is a significant level and has been a significant level for quite some time. We might come down to this level, test it as a support, with price then consolidating, creating a consolidating range between these two levels. That is one possible scenario that we could see. Obviously, if price does become bearish and we do end up breaking this point of interest here, the most likely scenario is just going to be where this candlestick, the most likely scenario from here, and it drops down to here and ends up breaking through this support level. We're just going to be looking for our next point of interest as we normally do. So we could potentially see the level broke, and we could see price continue until it finds a level that it wants to hold at support. As it goes for a bullish move, so obviously we have our resistance and support tested. We also have this resistance tested here. So right, let's grab the path. Let's just point to this. So this resistance is quite strong as of right now. So what we're expecting, so if I go down to our minute 15 real quick and just sort of zoom in, you can see that price is testing in this level multiple times as a support. And obviously right before the market closed, we did have a bearish candlestick finish, but that's sort of what happens. You can't really rely on the last few candlesticks, especially on the lower time frames when it comes close to the end of week market close, even market open. It's all just sort of noise. So another scenario that we could see, so if price keeps continuing to test this level as a support, so let's just mark this in so you can see. Let's just mark bang. So what we could potentially see is price test this level as a support again, pushing price up and breaking through this resistance level. If we go ahead and just sort of mark in this level here, and go ahead and put this into red so we know. So this is like this is the danger zone. So if price does come up to this level and test it as a resistance, we could in fact see some consolidation. We could see price consolidate between these two levels. But the most likely scenario that we will see for gold is going to be a test of this area as a support, potentially one more time around this level, around here on the Monday. But the most likely scenario as of right now when it comes to a bullish one will be a push breaking through that level that we just called the danger zone, breaking through that level and continuing on to our next point of interest, which is around 3,370. Why is this level of 3,370 a significant level? If I go ahead and go back to the chart where we marked this level in and established this level, you can see that price has tested at this level multiple times as sort of a support and a resistance. So let's just go ahead and have a look. Sorry, bear with me, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let's just delete this. Bang, there we go. Right, leave that one there. So you can see anyway that price has tested at this level as a resistance multiple times, with price then eventually dropping down and coming back up to test this level again, 3,370. You can see tested multiple times as a support and multiple times as a resistance, and obviously we are now creeping back up to that level, so it's going to be a significant level that we do want to take into account. But with our post-week market review, the overall conclusion for gold this week has been bullish. We have had a considerable gain for gold, especially when we was trading at those depths. Gold did almost touch that level of 3,100. Obviously this level here, we almost continued extremely bearish move. But obviously price has now rejected, and we are starting to see some sort of bullish volume enter the market, which is good for gold. So with all that being said, for our post-market review, gold has been bullish, and there is one of two scenarios that could take place. So, and it all depends on this level of 3,355. If this level fails to hold as a support, we're looking for our next point of interest to then hold price as support and then continue on bullish. However, if we see this level broken, we're looking for our next point of interest, so on and so forth. For a bullish scenario, if price holds at this level, again, the same level of 3,355 as a support, which will be easier to see on the lower time frame. So if you're really interested to see what happens, obviously I would not recommend taking trades straight on market open anyway. But if you're interested to see what happens when market does open up on Sunday at 10 PM GMT, don't hesitate to jump into the lower time frames, perhaps even go into the minute 5 and just see how price reacts to this level of 3,355. Don't forget, this does not mean, so for example, if we see price come here and then push up, that does not mean that this support has failed. For it to fail, we're looking for candlesticks to open below this level. Remember, this level is just rough. It's not exact price points. It's just a key psychological level in a rough area that has been tested as both support and resistance, or support or resistance multiple times. So we're looking at this 3,355 level. If it fails to hold as a support, we're looking for our next level to then hold price up, and so on and so forth. If we see price hold this level as a support significantly and confidently, and price action suits a bullish move also, we're looking for our next level to then test, to have price test as a resistance. And then obviously if we see this price fail as a resistance, we're looking for our next point of interest, so on and so forth. So that's going to be our post-week market review and our rough analysis, our rough overall bias for next week. Our high time frame overall bias for gold is 100% going to be bullish. We are obviously marking up on this sort of intraday time frame, sort of low time frame for swing trading, but this is sort of the overall thing that we're looking at right now is obviously our hourly time frame. So we could in fact see some bearish retracements. We could see price drop back down, but the significance of a considerable bearish move is unlikely. If price is to fall like a considerable amount, the area that we're going to be looking at is around this level here, the sort of absolute depths that price was consolidating here, sort of the last sort of support that was found before we entered this bearish range. So again, that's going to be our post-week market review. I hope you've all enjoyed. Remember, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know if you do prefer these post-market week reviews instead of an end-of-week technical analysis. Let me know, because what I can do is I can permanently switch everything around. So instead of our Monday and Friday being videos and our Wednesday, our midweek TA being a write-up, I can do a post-week market review on the Saturday, and then on Monday I can do a write-up following up the market at the end of the first day, so we've seen what's happened, and then Wednesday a video, and then obviously Saturday again. So if you like this format, let me know in the comments below, and if you don't, I will go back to the same format, which is absolutely fine. Just wanted to switch things up a little bit. It does make a little bit more sense, I feel, doing it in this format, as obviously if we have a post-week market review on the Saturday, there's no point doing a video on the Monday morning, because not a lot's going to have happened, and it will be pretty much the same technical analysis as we are doing right now. Obviously, if we do a a start of week on the Monday write up, but at the end of the day we've let the market play out a little bit, it's a slight update. Obviously it will only be roughly 24 hours of candlesticks, so you're only going to see 24 more candlesticks, which is like here to here. So it's not, I don't think it's worth doing a video for that. But then obviously the Wednesday we can do a full review on what's happened for the first half of the week, and then Saturday, once the market is entirely closed, we can open the markets in the morning, do our review, and get ready for the next week. So again, that's going to be our post-week market review for this week. I hope you've all enjoyed. Remember, let me know if you are liking this new format. If you are, I will keep it like this. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't already, join our VIP. Visit our website in the description below, or type in Telegram at XAUUSD admin bot. I'll put a link on the screen here for you, or a bit of text on the screen, so you can just copy and paste that. So again, don't forget to let me know in the comments below. I hope you have enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.